Okay, so in the last video we talked about area of composite shapes, and now today we're going to be looking at volume and surface area, both with our shapes that you can find on a formula sheet, and then also looking at examples of composite shapes as well. So on this first slide, it's asking us to find the volume of each solid. So we want to identify what shape it is, look at our formula sheet, looking for the volume formula, and solving. So looking at the first shape here, we have a cone. The volume of a cone, V equals pi r squared times the height divided by 3. Pi is 3.14. The radius we're given of 5 centimeters. And the height of our cone is 6 centimeters. Okay, in your calculator, you're going to need to do exponents first. So 5 squared, and then multiplying by 3.14 times 6, and divided by 3. And that gives 157 centimeters, working in volume, cubed. Okay, looking at our next shape, we have a cylinder. Volume of a cylinder is pi r squared times the height. We see all the way across the circle, which is the diameter, is 6 centimeters. So halfway across is going to be 3 centimeters, which will be the radius. So 3.14 times 3 squared, and the height of the cylinder is 5 centimeters, so times 5. So 3 squared times 3.14 times 5 gives us 141.3 centimeters cubed. The last shape on the slide here is a triangular prism. The formula is base times length times height divided by 2. Looking at the diagram on the side of the formula sheet, the base is the base of the triangle, which is 6 centimeters. The length is actually the height of the triangle, so the length is 5. And times the height, which is here, which is 12. So 6 times 5 times 12 divided by 2 gives us 180 centimeters cubed. Okay, to find the surface area, you must calculate the area of all the external sides. So we want to find the surface area of the triangular prism. So what this is telling us is that we need to find the area of each individual side of the shape. So a triangular prism, we have 2 triangles, front and back, and then we have 3 rectangles. One there, one on the back side, one on the bottom. Okay, so looking at our formulas, and having our different sides. So the triangles, so the area of the triangle is base times height divided by 2. The base of the triangle is 6. The height of the triangle is 5 divided by 2. Is 15 centimeters squared. But there are actually 2 of the triangles. So we then need to multiply that by 2. So the triangles have us with 30 centimeters squared. Okay. The base of the triangular prism, we have a rectangle that is 6 by 12. So the area of the base is length times width, and that's 6 times 12. And we get 72 centimeters squared. Now focusing on the 2 rectangular sides, we know the length is 12, but we don't know the width of the rectangle. So we're going to need to find that. What we see here is that we have a right angle triangle that we can create. So halfway across the base of the triangle is 3. So that's that. The height of the triangle is 5. We want to find the hypotenuse in order to know the width of this rectangle. Okay, so having a right angle triangle, knowing 2 sides, needing to find the third side, we're going to use Pythagorean theorem. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. That's 5 squared plus 3 squared equals x squared. 25 plus 9 equals x squared. So that's 34 equals x squared. Getting the x by itself, we bring the squared over, it becomes a square root. So the square root of 34 is 5.8 centimeters. Okay. So knowing that, we're going to find the area of the rectangle, and we remember that we have 2 of those. So the area of the rectangles is length times width. We are multiplying that by 2 because there's 2 of them. So length of 12, width of 5.8, and times that by 2. 12 times 5.8 times 2 gives us 139.2 centimeters squared. Okay, so counting our number of sides, we want to make sure that we have calculated for everything. We have the 2 triangles, the 2 rectangles, and then the base. So we have 5 sides in total. We have calculated 2 triangles, 2 rectangles, and the base. So our total surface area is adding all of these together. So we have our 30 centimeters squared plus our 72 plus our 139.2. 30 plus 72 plus 139.2 gives us 241.2 centimeters squared as our total surface area for the triangular prism. Okay, moving to the next slide. Calculating volume or surface area of a composite figure. So far we've been just looking at our basic 3D shapes, and now we're going to be putting shapes together to make a composite figure. So same steps as what we looked at with finding basic area, where we break it into simpler figures, we calculate each individually, and then we add and subtract from there as needed. So here we have a chicken coop, and we want to find the volume. So looking at this chicken coop, we see that we have a triangular prism up top, and we have a rectangular prism on the bottom. So first, finding the volume of the triangular prism. The formula again, we have base times length times height divided by 2. Okay. The base is the base of the triangle, which is 2.4. The length is actually the height of the triangle. What we notice, the height of the chicken coop is 2.1, and the height of the rectangular piece is 1.6. So then the height of the triangle will be 2.1 minus 1.6. Which gives us 0.5. So times 0.5. And the height is this part here, which is 2.8. So 2.4 times 0.5 times 2.8 divided by 2 gives us 1.68 meters cubed as the volume of the triangular prism. Now, the volume of the rectangular prism, our formula is length times width times height. Okay, the length of our rectangular prism is 2.8 multiplied by the width, which is 2.4, multiplied by the height, which is 1.6. 2.8 times 2.4 times 1.6 gives us 10.75 meters cubed. So our volume total is adding those two together, so 1.68 plus 10.75. And we get 12.43 meters cubed as the volume of the chicken coop. Okay, so next question, we have the same chicken coop again, This time it's asking us to find surface area, but do not include the floor. So we need to include all pieces except the floor. So when we look at all of our different pieces, we have 2 rectangles as the roof. We have 2 triangles as the sides of the rooftop. And we have the front and back side of the chicken coop, and we have the 2 sides of the chicken coop. Okay. So starting with the bottom piece, we know we have 2 of these rectangular sides. So 2 times rectangle is length times width. So area of rectangle 1. So 2 times 2.4 times 1.6. Gives us 7.68 meters squared. Looking at rectangle 2, there will be 2 of those. So area of rectangle 2, there's 2 of them where we do length times width. The length here is 2.8, the width 1.6. Two times 2.8 times 1.6 gives us 8.96 meters squared. Okay, now looking at the roof, we know the base of the triangle is 2.4. The height is the 0.5 that we found on the last slide, doing the 2.1 minus 1.6. So the area of the triangles, there's 2 triangles, and we are doing base times height divided by 2 as the area of one triangle. The base is 2.4 times the height of 0.5 divided by 2. So that's 2.4 times 0.5 divided by 2, and then times 2. Gives us 1.2 meters squared as the area of our triangles. Now looking at our roof, we have rectangles. We know the length of the roof is 2.8, but we do not know the width of the roof. We need to find that. So again, we notice that our roof creates a right angle triangle. And the height of that is 0.5. And halfway across the base is 1.2, half of the 2.4. So to find the hypotenuse, which will be the width of the roof, we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared, which is 0.5 squared plus 1.2 squared equals x squared. So 0.5 squared plus 1.2 squared gives us 1.69. Getting x by itself, we need to square root that. and we get 1.3 meters as the width of the roof. So now we can calculate. We have two of the same rectangles as the roof. So finding area of rectangle 3, there's two of those that are length times width. Our length being 2.8 and our width being 1.3. So 2 times 2.8 times 1.3 gives us 7.28 meters squared. Finding the total surface area, we are adding all of the areas we found together. So 7.68 plus 8.96 plus 1.2 plus 7.28 . And we get 25.12 meters squared as the surface area of the chicken coop. Sorry. And one more example to go through here. We have a pop can with the dimensions, the diameter of the pop can is 7 centimeters. The height is 12 centimeters. And we have a case of pop, and we are given the dimensions, the length of 70, the width of 12, and the height of 21 centimeters. Find the amount of empty space in a case of 30 cans. So we need to find the volume if we're looking for empty space. We need to find what the volume of the entire case is, as well as the volume the cans will take up within the case. So first we can find the volume of the case. Finding volume of a rectangular prism is length times width times height. So 70 times 12 times 21. We get 17,640 centimeters cubed. Now we also want to find the volume of the can, and the volume of the can, that's a cylinder. The formula for the volume of a cylinder is pi r squared times the height. Our radius is half our diameter, so it's going to be 7 divided by 2. So our radius is 3.5. So 3.14 times 3.5 squared times the height of 12. So 3.5 squared times 3.14 times 12. 461.58. Okay. So that's finding the volume of one can. We know that there are 30 cans in the case. So the volume of 30 cans is going to be 30 times 461.58. And that's 13,847.4 centimeters cubed. So to find the amount of empty space, we're going to take the volume of the case and subtract the volume of the 30 cans that are in the case. So our volume total is 17,640 minus 13,847.4. And the amount of space remaining is 3,792.6 centimeters cubed. So there are textbook questions for you to complete. If you have any questions, please let me know.